Welcome to Inside the Creative Mind podcast, where we dive into the brilliant, the bold, and sometimes slightly unhinged world of creativity. From musicians, painters, and actors, to comedy and beyond, we spotlight those chasing inspiration. Got a story? Visit in-tunemedia.com to apply. Now let's welcome our occasionally humorous and slightly handsome host, Brian Jones.
Today's show is something very special to me. We've got Christian Americana singer Haisley on the program. Now, she's going to talk about her 25 years in the fitness and wellness industry and how she's chosen to bravely transition into Christian Americana music. Haisley, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, man, I tell you what, a lot of stuff going on. Before we get started into all the interesting things about you, so last night I was watching the Artemis spacecraft as it kind of came back to Earth and all the astronauts were safe. I don't know if you watched it, but to me, that's pretty big stuff. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but being in San Diego, we learned about the sonic boom that we may hear. So I did not hear it, but I was driving back from LA, so I'm excited to go back and watch that. So
Yeah, it's really cool. And I was sitting there thinking about that. I was like, because as an artist, as a music artist yourself, where we talk about AI and all the things that AI is doing in the music world and video, and I'm thinking, this spacecraft was probably assisted by AI so much, and so I was so excited. But then I thought, what's it going to be like in like a year? Is everybody, because of AI, going to have the ability to shoot rockets up? Will there be like one going from like Tennessee? Tennessee shoots its first rocket into space because everybody can do it now because it's going to be so simple. So I think it's exciting now, but I wonder that everybody's going to be able to do it in a few years. I don't know. Just kind of spitballing that.
Thought, right?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's probably not going to be, it'll be commonplace. So here's what I know about you. You spent a long time in the fitness community, and I think you're probably still active in it because if you're like me, that's something that never goes away. You just kind of make that part of your life. But I guess I'm curious to know what type of fitness, because there's flexibility, there's aerobics, there's strength training, all that stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about how that's been such a big part of your life, how you do it, what type, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was 25 years in the fitness wellness space. I really got into it because I grew up in sports and I cheered in college. And when I went to college, I started teaching what we used to call aerobics. Now they call it group fitness. But I taught everything from the early days, from step aerobics we did like slide and hip hop and Taibo and all that good stuff. As it evolved over the years, I've taught yoga, Pilates, and a variety of other, boot camp type formats. So pretty much a pretty wide range. And then fitness has always just been a part of my life. It's something I've always enjoyed. I love teaching classes. I was an educator as well, and I love certifying instructors. And I did women's wellness retreats. I mean, it was such a big part of my life, and it still is. But the difference is I'm not doing it as a full-time career, but I enjoy. I mean, I try to do something every day, but it could just be going for a walk, could be taking a class, it could be lifting weights. There's so many different things, but I love being active, and it really fuels my heart. And
It's funny that you mentioned, how they changed the names of things. So I'm going to date myself here. So I'm 57 years old. So I was a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, like so many young men in my generation. But what I've noticed is that I'll just pick out one. So there was a thing called cybergenics. It was a fitness thing, maybe back in the 80s or 90s, and it was incredibly hard. It was really challenging, and it really pushed you to your limits. But that was probably one of the first big things. We had all the infomercials back then on fitness that always had something between the Thigh Master and, all the different tools that came out. But it's like, it seems like at my age, and you may feel this or have recognized it as well, but that they just kind of regurgitate the same things we've been doing for 20 years in fitness and they label it something new and fresh and exciting, and they might add one little sprinkle of salt and pepper element that, makes it unique. But do you feel that like we've invented the wheel 10 times here with fitness and wellness, and we just kind of all put our own flavor on it at this point?
I think you're pretty spot on with a lot of things, right? I think it's one of those things, and the science and research has been there for so many years, and I think it's great for all of us to stay active, whatever that looks like, you know. But you're absolutely right. I think there's just like so many things in life now. There's so many new spins of things that's hard to keep up with all the new things. But at the end of the day, if you really break it down, I think when it comes to strength training and different cardiovascular stuff and stretching and everything else, it's all those same components are there.
Yeah, I feel really accomplished. So every morning, and this is partly because of a back surgery I had years ago, but I do this big stretch routine. And it's harder as you get older. I mean, like, oh my gosh, it hurts more. It's like, oh, you dread it, but it's a necessary evil. Like it has to be done if you're going to function throughout the day and, risk hurting yourself. But I feel super accomplished if I like make it downstairs to the gym. We have a gym here at our house, my wife and I, and if I can make it to the recumbent bike, do a couple miles on that, I got all the machines around me kind of set to my weight. And if I can just kind of do the cycle, and get on everything a little bit, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger said, just go to the gym. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't have, it's not arm day or leg day or whatever, just go to the gym and something positive will happen. So that's kind of been my mantra. It's like you said, sometimes I just go for a walk. So fitness comes in so many shapes, right?
Yeah, and it's very true. Just like singing, actually, exercise, the endorphins and the positive feeling that you receive from that, right? It's so awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I think fitness has always been something that I've probably craved because I know the feeling I get while I'm in the process, and then also the like you said, the sense of accomplishment afterwards. And I feel when we make good choices and through our exercise, it tends to fold into better sleep and better eating and the whole kind of
Yeah.
cycle like you're talking about. So yeah, I think it's even though it's not my main focus career wise, it is something I think will always be a part of me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's, there's music, so we're both musicians, I mean, in our own right. And I think that's something that's in your blood too, you talk about fitness kind of once you get a taste of it, yeah, 'cause I remember my dad, he never worked out at all. He didn't even know what it was. He's like, I got time for that. And then for me, it's been such a huge part of me and my older brother's life. But music's kind of the same way, as I actually brought you on the show today. I don't know if you know this, Haisley, to talk about your music. So I'm going to get there. But yeah, I think music's the same way. I started playing piano when I was like 8 years old. And it's never left, right? And I think for you, and if I know your story correctly, this has been in there. You've had this music kind of maybe suppressed in some form, but now it's like something triggered you, and you've decided to really make this music thing a big central focus of your life. So maybe if you could just tell us how that all started. Like, what triggered the whole music movement for you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So, yes, just like you as a young child, I always loved singing, you know,
Mhm.
and so it was always a part of me. And I grew up, through choir and jazz choir in high school, and so I loved it. And you're right, I think I kind of sidelined it a little bit going to college, and and then get into a career and so forth. But like you mentioned, I always that it was still always in my heart, and I think it was something that um, I knew I loved. I just I think also, and this I think can happen too. Is sometimes it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't pursue that. Should I pursue this other thing, or am I good enough? All those kind of things can drop in, right? But what happened when I turned 40, and I guess I'm dating myself in
Yeah,
this
that's
image.
okay. You're still very young in my mind.
Uh, so, gosh, over 6 years ago, I had this like moment where I visualized me being like in my rocking chair, whatever age that would be, and not
Yeah.
pursuing my love for music and whatever that meant. I mean, it was just more like stepping back into music. And so I know one of the things that we were going to talk about is kind of how it all kind of evolved. Living in San Diego, I have friends up in Los Angeles, which, as you know, is another big music community.
Mhm.
Um, and my friend Ginny, who is an incredible touring violinist and singer, amazing woman. We were just having coffee one day and chatting, and she's like, "Well, what if I helped you write your first song?" And I was like, "Really? You can help me write my first song?" It was almost she was giving me permission, right? That I
Mhm.
just
Right.
know that was like possible. And her boyfriend at the time was producer, and he's like, "Yeah, we can." And so what happened is I started just, getting into it, and I was so excited because it was like going back to my childhood and doing something creative that I love so much. And as it evolved and, one song after another song, I really started falling in love with the writing process.
Mhm.
And so it's just evolved, from working with another great friend and producer of mine, Michael Herring up in LA. And now, we fast forward 6 years later, I'm working, as you know, in Nashville quite a bit with off the road recording and a bunch of songwriters there. But I guess I fell into it as a hobby because it was something that was true to my heart. And then it evolved into something where I was like, well, what if it is possible I could just really just write songs, to be
Mhm.
honest? Then one of the songs that I had written and recorded called Heaven Take Me Home.
Mhm.
uh,
Great song, by the way.
Thank you. I was nudged by, several friends of mine in the industry that like, "Lauren, I think you should put this song out there." So, I knew it was my calling to do it, and I also knew, being an entrepreneur, having my fitness brand for 25 years, I knew that I had to show face and be vulnerable, and, putting music out there also, really meant me stepping into it and not hiding back as just a writer. Um, but I'm so grateful to have done that and to be doing what I'm doing now, both in writing and being able to record music and sing and work with so many people. Um, I have to pinch myself sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah, it's almost like a sense of self-validation. I mean, for me, like I said, I was a musician way back in the '80s and '90s. I mean, still a musician. I still record all the time. But I mean, as far as like a real traveling, touring musician, I did that when I was younger. But my wife kind of encouraged me, much like your situation later in life. She's like, Why don't you do this anymore?" She's like, "Well, because I'm an energy engineer by day, right? I have a real job, I guess, if you want to put quotations around it. And so that's how I make my living. That's how I support all my hobbies, like this podcast or anything. So I think it's a sense of self validation. And much like you, I just really wanted to write. I had all these songs from back in the band days, and I was like, oh man, I need to figure out how those DAWs work and how does producing work now in today's world, and it's a lot to learn, right? It's like, you're working with these guys in Nashville, this group, and you're probably picking up on so much. It's like, "Oh, this is how it's done, I see," and the technology's constantly changing, so has that been pretty eye-opening, when you talk about working with these talented people in Nashville and kinda seeing how that process works? It's pretty immense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome on, many levels. Just about a year ago, I made the decision to join, NSAI, which is Nashville Songwriting Association, which I'm always telling people here on the West Coast, I feel like there's so many, singers or writers that aren't aware of how awesome, NSAI is, but, joining that was a huge step as far as building a community of songwriters and, starting to come out to Nashville and building relationships to do co-writing, which was something that was newer to me, even though I had written with my friend and, a little bit in the front end, a lot of my writing had been by myself up into really building a community of other songwriters. So that's been awesome. And then also just even in the recording process in Nashville, with tracking songs and with a full band and these incredible session artists that come in, it's just been such a great experience. And
Mhm.
the one thing I've noticed about Nashville is the amount of talent in such a small area on every level, from the writing to all the different musicians. It's just it blows my mind.
What
So,
blows my mind about it too, I'll just coattail off your comment is how talented some of these session musicians are
yeah.
and what their capabilities are. It's like, my gosh, this guy could have been the bass player or guitar player or drummer for any of the greatest bands in the world ever. He's that good. And then you got to step back and go, why aren't these guys, on their own tour or doing their own thing? Because the talent is so immense. But then I step back and I think, well, think of how many people are like posting on Spotify every week. There's like millions and millions of people out there. So how do you ever get on anybody's radar, right? And I think you touched on it a little bit when you said it's kind of putting yourself out and surrounding yourself with that community and finding the right support that kind of gets you step by step to the next level, right? There's just so much out there, so much talent.
Yeah, I think, it probably can relate to a lot of different industries, but really building relationships, I think, is something I've heard across the board, and I found it to be, um has helped me so much.
Mm.
Uh, but, I know it's something we're gonna talk a little bit more about me and the choices of being a Christian Americana artist and stuff too, but a lot of, I think, the doors and things that have opened up for me too is really being, really following a certain path as far as,
Mhm.
my beliefs and, trying to make we try to do the best we do and make the best decisions and work with people that I think, we relate to and have similar value systems. I think that helps a lot too. So,
Yeah, you did a perfect segue for me. That's my job, Haisley, but you did a great job of segueing into what I want to talk about, the Christian Americana thing. So for me, I'm a Christian, and we all do our religion. I'm putting up hashtags again in a different way. We all it's very personal to me. I pray a lot. It's a big part of my life. Um, but in today's world, it's some people say there's a revival coming back, and some people say, well, it's not as popular as it used to be. And to me, that's a sad thing. I wish it was more popular. I wish it was more widely accepted. But it's not a choice for me to make. It's a choice for individuals to make. But coming out as a Christian Americana artist can be a little risky because it's not so mainstream. You've got millions of pop artists and millions of country artists. But I guess that risk is worth the payoff for your soul, for your spirit, for your mind. Um, and to me, when I put out music, I really don't care if anybody else likes it. I'm too old. I just do it because I enjoy it. My friends and my musician friends enjoy it. And then if somebody gets something out of it, that's wonderful. If they don't, that's okay. It's just not their flavor. So I guess explain why you decided I'm not gonna sh keep this in the shadows. I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. I don't fit into that pop artist mold. I fit into this mold, and I'm gonna be proud of it. So how did you decide to do that?
yeah, it's a great question. Well, and it's kinda twofold. I mean, the biggest reason I decided is because I really believe by the opportunities that I have been presented to me from the day I got permission to write my first song to the people I've worked with, and it's been just this overwhelming, positive, amazing experience that I can't help but to think that, that it's not God's not behind this. And so, as has evolved and, I was trying to early on, I was trying to figure out, like, what kind of music and, trying to find my voice and everything. And, and when Heaven Take Me Home was kind of the pivot of, okay, now we're stepping into this, as an artist. I really just felt God, like, heavy on my shoulders, like, "I've got you," and it also gave me permission to step into, a space that, and it's is very vulnerable, and as a 46-year-old, woman, is not a typical path that we see in the music industry. So if once I was able to shift my reason behind writing music and releasing music and, as something that's for myself, but if I'm doing it for God, and if I'm, gonna share His word through music, then all the weight just falls off my shoulders,
Yeah.
and like you said, it's not about, what other people think, from a, negative, positive, I need, affirmation, but, as I've written some of the songs, for example, with Danny Wells, who's an amazing Hall of Fame songwriter, in Nashville, who's also a Christian. We've got teary-eyed, writing songs because when you're writing for God, the words, it's amazing the words that come, and then we when you release the music and you put it out there, it's not like you're doing it for people to say good job, but we're like, but what if the music, someone hears it and it brings them to closer to God, or maybe, they become curious. It has a bigger reason than just writing music and releasing music. It's how the music can then hopefully positively impact somebody else, right?
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And I can tell you for someone who's been to a lot of concerts, rock concerts, or I've been to Agape, Christian uh, music festivals, and they had a kind of a rock pop overtone. That the vibe's completely different. I mean, it is I'm not saying one's better than the other. I don't wanna offend anybody because I enjoy all kinds of music. Uh, I don't just say, "I'm only going to listen to Christian Americana or Christian or gospel." I listen to everything, and that's just my choice. Everybody has the right to make their own choice. But I had a lot of admiration for Beethoven and Bach when I was growing up learning classical piano. So I think I wanted to understand all the aspects of music. And much like you, I was in choir and show chorus, all the things as a kid, right? In fact, it's funny because the first rock band I was ever in, I was performing for the concert choir as a senior in high school. And these guys with, this is the 80s, these guys with long hairs and zebra skin jackets came down and they're like, "Hey, kid, you want to play keyboards in our band?" And I'm like, "I'll have to ask my parents first. But yeah, I want to be a rock star or whatever." So I think, we have different paths to how we get there. But it's really refreshing for me, and I've saw this trend on Instagram, which is about the only social media I even follow anymore. There's just too many, and I don't have time to comment on everybody's stuff. You have to, but I think Instagram's kind of my choice, and I've noticed that a lot more Christian gospel musicians are on there. And I've reached out to so many of them and like, "Hey, come on my show." And I think so many of them are leery because there's so much, "Oh, this guy's probably trying to get paid or trying to do something shady." And I'm like, "Nope, just want to talk." And you know me, I don't charge anything for anything. We don't take any money here for anything that we do. So I hope more people that are listening to this will come on like you did today and share their story because I love to see this revival personally. So you've got a new, and I think it's about a week away on April 17th. You got a new release coming out called He Reigns. I'd love to, I don't want you to give it away, but I'd love to share about as much about it as you can, how it was produced, who's involved with it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, most definitely. So, He Reigns, I wrote with Danny Wells, a gentleman I just mentioned. And we've written about 5 songs together now. And when we started writing, one of the big things I really wanted to stretch is faith infused music and uplifting, positive music. And so He Reigns is really a continuation off of some of the other songs that we've done together. And I love it. It's a very I mean, if you think the title alone, it's a very traditional type title that I think any Christian has has seen before. But it's a very I like it because it's a up-tempo. It was, tracked in Nashville off the Row recording studio. And so I think
How
it
fun is that? How
it's
cool
so
is that to be in a studio like that?
It's so fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love, I mean, I was just with my one of my producers up in LA yesterday, and I mean, I just love being in the studio. So whether, I'm up in LA or if I'm with you and we're tracking with the band, or, just even is sitting and writing with other writers. I mean, all of it just, like, lights me up. I mean, I just love the creative process, but I always get blown away with the band because, I'm just like, it's amazing how we'll have chord charts ready for the songs, and we'll come into the room with the producer and everyone, we just review through the song. They play my work tape or demo, and everyone just kinda looks over it, and then it's amazing going right into the studio, do, like, one pass on the song, and then there's always maybe a few, like, plug in on, 26, little, and it's like, I'm like, "That's it." I mean, the first time I experienced just the tracking, I was just blown away how talented everyone was.
It's
So
amazing. It's like I've been like I said, I've been a musician forever, and I'm just like, how do these guys know how to play every single thing in a moment?
mhm,
If you watch these late night TV shows, any of them, the bands, I mean, they're just like, "Yeah, play this," and they just know it. They just
mhm.
play it, and I've always just been so impressed by that. I wanted to say too, I'm looking at my notes, and I saw this on your Instagram too, but you just nominated for Best Country Americana Song for the San Diego Music Awards. How cool is that?
Oh, it's so exciting, and that also came by surprise. My voice coach, Allison Adams Tucker, who's an amazing, jazz, artist, she, has been really involved with the community here in San Diego for some time, and so I remember, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, she's like, "You should submit." I mean, maybe even a year ago, she's like, "You should submit some of your music to some of these songwriting competitions. You should submit one of your songs to the San Diego Music Awards." And it was funny because she prefaced it like, "You should submit it," but most of the time, because she's been familiar with the San Diego Music Awards for many years, she's like, most of the time they select, musicians, bands, artists that are playing locally in San Diego on a pretty, regular basis. But she's like, "Still submit a song." So what happened is, a few months back, they, did an announcement night, and they did at a venue, and they had the live music of some, previous, winners of the music awards. And so I went, but I was like, I went to kinda check it out, but I wasn't, like, paying attention. I walked in, and then a gentleman, named Kenneth that is on the committee came right up to me. He's like, "How come you weren't clapping? Because your song was nominated." I was like, "What?" So it came by surprise. And again, I just feel
Wow.
all these little things are I feel like God just, like, tapping me on the shoulder and reminding me, like, that I'm on the right path. And so, yeah, so fast forward, the award show is gonna be on, May 6th, so, like, I guess a little less than a month. But what's, really fun is, we're doing showcases leading up to the event with all the, musicians, and, so the ticket sales, it's really cool because you learn about it's not just an award show, but they raise money for, students to get Taylor guitars in schools, which is cool, right?
Wow, how
In schools.
neat.
So there's always this, like, more beautiful layer of everything of the why behind the music awards and why they do these showcases and for ticket sales. And so going back to the pinching myself, I mean, years ago, I've always like, well, I'm really trying to step into live music, by the way, this year. So the writers rounds in Nashville, and I'm trying to step into doing live music in San Diego. And so, because I was nominated, I have the opportunity now to play at, like, my favorite venue here in San Diego called the Belly Up, which is right in my backyard, generally speaking. So next Sunday, I'm a part of a showcase with other, San Diego Music Award winners in the past and so forth, and I get to sing a song called "The Good in Me," which was the one that was nominated. So again, I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually gonna be singing, locally in San Diego for the first time outside of church, of course, and at my favorite venue, the Belly Up." So all of this to me really just feels like one huge blessing, and, I'm just like, every day, I can't believe that I'm doing the thing that, I always dreamed of as a little girl.
Haisley, the very next question on my sheet was, "Do you feel blessed?" And I want to think about that for a minute because I certainly do in my world, in my life, in my family, everything that I do. But I think it starts with doing unto others, right? So we try to um, set the tone, I guess, if you will, and then we feel that tenfold back. And so, I mean, look at all the great things to me when I'm listening to you talk. I'm just like, this woman is blessed, but do you feel blessed as well?
Yeah. I mean, I do. I really do. I feel, I'm really enjoying this whole process, and I'm enjoying all the people I'm meeting, and I don't know, I just, I feel super grateful because, it really was my dream as a little girl, and, however the road goes, I'm just trying to enjoy the process, and I'm hoping that, I can make a positive impact, in others' lives, whether it's just uplifting positive music, or if it's, maybe people being more curious and wanting to learn about, um, you know, Jesus? I don't know, whatever it is, I just,
It's a
and
cool story, right? I mean,
but
I
also,
love telling it if people want to
uh
listen.
and also just reminding people, like, it's never too late to go after your dreams, right? And it doesn't always have to be it's not doesn't have to be the same thing like me where you stop doing one thing and now you step into something different. I
Yeah,
mean, it's like you're doing, like, you can have your day job, you can also be a husband, and you can also have a podcast, and you can also, right,
right.
I think a lot of adults, speaking to adults, specifically parents or whatnot, we sometimes get this mindset like, I'm too old to do this. It's too late to do this. I'll do this when my kid goes to college. I'll do this when, but I retire. And I don't know. I just, we, we don't know how long we're going to be here.
That's for sure.
And, I don't know. I think for me personally, it's really important for me to pursue the things I love. Cause that's, I think, where the regret would be not trying. I'd rather try this and fail at it, whatever failure looks like, than if I never tried it, I think I'd eat myself alive.
Yeah, and if you put a song out there and it fails, just delete it. Because, I mean, you said that so eloquently. I could not have said that better. Um, I'm watching the time because I'm already like 10 minutes over the time that I told you I would take.
Right.
But I hope that you come back on this show one day. Um, and maybe that's 6 months, maybe it's a year from now, but I think there's something about you. You have a spark, right? I think you are blessed. I think somebody is on your shoulder kind of guiding you down this path because well, they brought you to us somehow. We sure wanted to share your story, and I think you're getting notoriety from so many places, and I think you're doing it the right way. You should be proud of what you're doing because it's coming off very authentic, and I think everybody can resonate with your story. So congratulations on the nomination. Congratulations on all your great music. I can't wait to listen to He Reigns when it comes out on the 17th. And is there anything else you want to say before I let you have your rest of your Saturday back that I've already taken your morning away?
No, no. I'm in San Diego, it's early still, we're good. No, I'm just I'm thank you so much for having me, and,
Our pleasure. Totally.
yeah, it's just you're just one more of those little, nuggets from God, um,
Mhm.
and so I'm grateful. So thank you.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who Haisley is, she's all over the place right now. She's got a great new release coming out April 17th called He Reigns. I'm sure it's going to be on every streaming platform on that day or soon after. She's been nominated for Best Country Americana Song from the San Diego Music Awards. That's really exciting. Her Instagrams are great. They're a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on in her world. So please go out and check out Haisley today. And Haisley, thank you so much, so much for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Inside the Creative Mind with Brian Jones. Keep exploring, keep creating, and don't forget to tune in for the next 30 minutes of inspiration streaming on all platforms. Your next spark of creativity is just a play button away.